Welcome to Game 2 of Los Misticos vs LA Gogoats in the Gimme Ghoul Cup. For those of you watching, we saw a very competitive Game 1, with a steady but well-fought battle between both the LA Gogoats and Los Misticos, maneuvering magnificence, but ultimately the LA Gogoats cemented their victory with a fantastic offensive output. We'll see how this game reflects. Have either of the teams learned from the previous game? Will either of them bring anything new? Now, we also need to issue a very quick apology, viewers. This update is not material to the previous match, but will be for this one. The coach from the Los Misticos did send us erroneous data, so we do need to clarify that their Frostmoth is, in fact, not running room service, but rather a life orb. What this means is simple. Los Misticos are not running a Sept that will adapt to Trick Room, and their Frostmoth is instead packing more offensive output. Now, our usual host likes to get right into these games, but before we do, I think we should instead have a look at a different part of the team building. The coaches, specifically their avatars. Let's be real, their fashion choice matters, and it gives off an impression here, so I think we should have a quick overview over who is who and what's reppin' what. With the LA Gogoats coach, our Cup's host, they are fittingly represented by the Tower Tycoon Palmer of the Generation 4 games. Palmer is a post-game boss character featured in Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Regardless of these games, Palmer only has one home, the Battle Tower, a competitive players' training grounds by many stretch, a post-game battling paradise. Whether it's in the Battle Frontier or just the tower by itself, he's always seen as a pretty significant deal, and in wider media such as the anime or Pokemon Masters, Palmer is famously regarded as a competent trainer. He even has held his own against the likes of Cynthia. Now, despite our host likely picking Palmer because he's a handsome blonde dad, I reckon the Tower Tycoon is a very fitting trainer for the host, because their incredible performance throughout the Cup warrants a prestigious competitor like Palmer to represent them. Meanwhile, Los Misticos, they're popping off with a torrential mask master, Maximum Mask, Crasher Wake. Fittingly, for a roster of their luchadores, and a masterful mascot of whole lucha, who else would be better suited to fit their love of a good fight? Crasher Wake is another Gen 4 trainer. He's a gym leader, specifically, a water-type specialist for Pastoria City. Crasher Wake is well known for being very hammy and over the top, and he's also specifically coded in those games to switch out to cover his Pokemon's weaknesses. Of course, because they're in a tag match, why wouldn't they? So, let's see if Crasher Wake's spirits will be represented with Los Misticos today, with his boisterous spirit carrying them through in their tag team matches with tonight's fight. We're in for a real slobber knocker, so let's ring that bell and see these teams do their thing. Alright, so we're seeing a lead of Whimsicott and Holucha facing up against Dragalge and Slowking. Slowking bringing psychic damage into Holucha's fighting type, and Dragalge bringing poison into Whimsicott's grass and fairy typing. This looks like a very good position for the LA Gogoats, so we'll see how Los Misticos deals with this pressure. Okay, so Los Misticos saw the position and they wisely pivoted out the Holucha for Frostmoth here. Interestingly, this makes her debut for Los Misticos on the battlefield. This was then followed by Whimsicott using his switcheroo with Prankster priority to take the choice specs away from Dragalge and deliver them a Flame Orb. But Dragalge did not take kindly to this one bit, and of course used their offensive poison damage in Sludge Bomb to hit Whimsicott for quadruple weakness. He was O-code. We saw it coming. Their signature support was down so early in this match. This, of course, followed up by Slowking setting up a Trick Room in order to take control of the momentum. Los Misticos are bringing in Holucha, but now the speed is fighting against them, and as well, of course, in the LA Gogo's favor. with them in the driving seat, it really is a position that Los Misticos need to be savvy about here. Let's see how they go. Okay. Ooh. Alright. So that turn was interesting. We saw Los Misticos very correctly and wisely Terra their whole Lucha out of his fighting type into a pure flying type. That enabled him to survive Slowking's Psychic Noise without taking super effective damage, but worryingly has dealt well over 50% of whole Lucha's health. Dragalge unleashes Draco Meteor, one of the Dragon type's strongest moves, right into Frostmoth. Frostmoth does survive and retaliates to defeat Dragalge with an Ice Beam, but this is at a price. Now, similar to what we mentioned before, viewers, Life Orb is what our dear Frostmoth was carrying, and this item gives a Pokemon a 30% boost to their attacks, at the trade-off of the Pokemon taking 10% of their maximum health as damage as a secondary effect. The Ice Beam did indeed knock out the Dragalge, but it took down Frostmoth as well. So that then saw the end of our turn, having Holucia unleash a close combat into Slowking, dealing moderate damage but lowering Holucia's defenses to activate its White Herb. This is most likely so Holucia's Acrobatics can now hit like a truck. Acrobatics is a flying type move that does double its base damage if the user is itemless, which Holucia now is. That said, with the Trick Room against them and Annihilate and Dragapult taking position, I'm expecting to see a bit more carnage here, folks. Alright, turn 3 has the LA Gogoats shifting gears and putting the pedal to the metal. Slowking knows its Psychic Noise can pick off Holucha. It did well over 50%, it followed up again. The Lucha Bird takes the feint. Annihilate does hit a meaningful Rage Fist right into the Dragapult. However, Dragapult unleashes one of its most dangerous maneuvers by using Phantom Force empowered by a Power Herb. Power Herb allows the move, ordinarily taking 2 turns, to fire off instantly. As you can see here, Annihilate almost got annihilated. But he manages to live, and with the Trick Room against them, yeah, we saw that coming. Psychic Noise, all she wrote, dealing solid damage straight into the Dragapult, whose ordinarily blazing speed was simply turned against them here. Well, in contrast to our previous game, folks, which was, make no mistake, incredibly played, we saw a simple case of outpositioning here from the get-go. Slowking proved to be the antithesis of Los Misticos in this matchup. He flipped the script with speed, he put out consistent defensive pressure, and you could tell, really, Los Misticos simply couldn't deal with the psychic typing here. Dragalge shutting down Whimsicott so early on, it was just a complete dominance showing from the LA Gogoats here. It's not very often that Annihilate of all Pokemon gets outshined, and make no mistake, he did put out the hurt. But, I mean, we all saw this. Slowking performed exceptionally well here. Of course, this is not to say through any lack of trying of Los Misticos, of course. Incredible defensive Terraform Holucha gave it a little bit more momentum, if only had more bulk. And we saw that Dragapult's Phantom Force almost flattening one of the format's bulkiest terrors in Annihilate. With a bit more offense, it might have simply one-shot it. But you can see, this just goes to show you how important team building is here. Los Misticos simply didn't have any Protect on their team either. Protect, as we saw from our previous game, is a phenomenal move in Pokemon because it simply prevents any damage from being dealt from the opposing team, as well as any status boost from the opposing team. Protect here would also allow a trainer to stall out the Trick Room, which, as we can see, was slowing down the game, of course, for Los Misticos. But of course it should never be used with Reckless Abandon. though I think we can all agree that this game was definitely decided the moment Trick Room hit. Speaking of which, though, it's time for me to hit the road, because with this game done and dusted, we have a decisive 2-0 victory to the LA Gogoats. They're maintaining their ever-dominant position, leading the cup. So, let's beg the real question. Is anyone going to be able to slow them down? Tune into the next time for the Gimme Google Cup, and we'll see if that happens anytime soon.